ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene and you are listening to our daily ASEAN news commentary where we bring you all the latest information and news from Southeast Asia. First up, we go to the political side of Southeast Asia. And I want to highlight one breaking news in the Philippines. New storm approaching Philippines after typhoon killed 20. A tropical depression locally called Onyok was heading from the southern island of Mindanao as the Melo moved further out of the South China Sea after claiming at least 20 lives. The Government Weather Bureau in the Philippines report a new storm was threatening a dump heavy rain on the southern Philippines on Friday as people in northern farming regions battle floods from deadly typhoon Melo. A tropical depression, which is called Onyok, like I mentioned earlier, is also heading towards Mindanao as Melo moves further away to South China Sea. Melo tore in from the Pacific Ocean and hit the eastern Philippines on Monday, then caused major flooding across the central and northern regions of the archipelago throughout the week. Although the typhoon left the Philippines on Wednesday, flood waters about a meter or 3 feet deep still covered farming regions about an hour's drive north of Manila, the nation's capital. Local disaster management officer Angie Blanco said these floods were expected to rise further as waters from other parts of the main island of Luzon flow into the floodplain. Maybe tonight it will hit 4 to 5 feet. This is what Blanco told an international press. But people are not leaving unless they are forced to do so. They are used to the situation. In the riverside town of Macabebe, about 42 kilometers north of Manila, men with roll-up trousers and women holding out their skirts waded through knee-deep waters carrying sacks of groceries and bottles of drinking water on their shoulders. Their houses are built high, so they don't think they need to evacuate, but disaster control personnel are on standby if waters rise further. On the mainly rural southern island of Mindanao, which will be hit by Onyok, preparations were underway for the depression, which is forecast to hit on Friday, which is actually today. Although Onyok is only a tropical depression, it is forecasted to bring heavy rain to areas not used to fierce weather. We move on to Myanmar. Myanmar's National League of Democracy Party to spend most of its time settling outstanding issues. This is what being expressed by many observers on Aung San Suu Kyi's new government, which will be leading Myanmar after the recent success of the general election in the country. Myanmar's incoming government, led by Aung San Suu Kyi, will be spending most of 5 years cleaning out their houses or managing current issues, crises, and resolving outstanding domestic political issues. This means she will likely need more time before being able to deliver tangible results and new policies. The dilemma of whether to grant Rohingya people citizens in Myanmar considered illegal immigrants from Bangladesh and how to stop the bloodshed between ethnic armies and the national military are just two of the many sensitive issues that the outgoing administration was unable to resolve. The responsibility now falls on Aung San Suu Kyi and her National League for Democracy party to navigate these choppy waters. She expressed, a political analyst expressed the same sentiment. His name is Richard Jose. He said those issues will also demand a lot of her time and skill. So the question is how much of her time will be spent on firefighting and how much of it will be able to devote to the positive policy platform that will be what she wants to deliver for change. He also added He thinks that there will be quite a lot of firefighting. The challenges of the country have not gone away. The underlying challenges, the conflict, the peace process, the uncountable parts of the economy, the microeconomic situation, social tensions, all these are still there, and none of them are quick fixes or easy fixes. She will definitely face those challenges while at the same time trying to set a new course and demonstrate that she is delivering tangible results. Experts say that Aung San Suu Kyi will have to douse these fires in a swift and decisive manner. As a government, NLD by hook or by crook will have to face that. So from the point of view of the experts, 3 to 4 years of the NLD government life will be focused on the kind of crisis management and clearing out of massive rubbish, and then maybe they will have 1 more year to start thinking of the new development projects. And this is according to one of the observer, Kuja, a social and political activist. We will take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss further on different areas of Southeast Asia current affairs.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Welcome back. This is Arlene and you're listening to ASEAN Daily. We go on to report about the upcoming general elections in the Philippines. As we all know, Grace Poe, she came to Comelec, apply Duterte ruling to her case. The senators came say that the pool body should also accept her quote-unquote honest mistake in her 2013 certificate of candidacy. The camp presidential aspirant, Senator Grace Poe, is hoping that she would also get a favorable Commission of Election ruling, or Comelec, a ruling like Davao City Mayor Rodrigo Duterte, whose certificate of candidacy for president was accepted by the pool body. Venezuela City Mayor Rex Gatchalian, Poe's spokesman, said the favorable decision gives hope to the appeal filed by Poe before the Comelec en banc. The division of the pool body earlier ruled to disqualify Poe from the 2016 presidential race. With the positive decision, they are hopeful that Comelec en banc applies consistency in rendering decision on the motion for reconsideration of Senator Poe. Now, the Comelec accepted the so-called mistake of Martin Dino in his COC. Gatchalian said it's high time for the pool body does the same for Poe. In fact, a news agency in the Philippines reported in October that Dino in his COC erroneously declared that he's running for the position of mayor in Pasay City. They believe that they should be consistent and accept the honest mistake of Senator Poe in her 2013 COC, or Certificate of Candidacy. In its ruling, the Comelec Second Division said it cannot accept Poe's mistake in her COC, and it will be opening the floodgates for candidates to commit material representations in their COCs and escape responsibility by conveniently changing their story in a subsequent COC. Poe, however, maintained that it was an honest mistake. She earlier said she decided to err on the side of caution, citing trauma with the pool body because the experience of her late father, Fernando Poe Jr., when he ran for president in 2004. The actor also faced a disqualification case over citizenship issue. Moving on to Vietnam. Vietnam builds military muscle to face China. Vietnam military is stirring itself for conflict with China as it accelerates a decade-long modernization drive, Hanoi's biggest arms build-up since the height of the Vietnam War. The ruling Communist Party goal is to deter its giant northern neighbor as tensions rise over the disputed South China Sea, and if that fails, to be able to defend itself on all fronts, senior officers and people close to them. Vietnam strategy has moved beyond contingency plan. Key units have been placed on high combat readiness and alert posture to fend off a sudden attack, including its elite division 308, which guards the mountainous north. The two countries fought a bloody border war in 1979. The likely flashpoint this time is in the South China Sea, where they have rival claims in the Spratly and Paracel archipelagos. We do not want to have a conflict with China, and we must put faith in our policy of diplomacy. This is according to one senior Vietnamese government official who spoke on condition of anonymity. But they all know that they must be ready for the worst, according to this Vietnamese. Most significantly, Hanoi is creating a naval deterrent largely for scratch with the purchase of 6 advanced Kilo-class submarines from Russia. In recent months, first of those submarines have started patrolling the South China Sea. Vietnamese and foreign military officials said that the first confirmation of the vessels have been in strategic waterway. Moving on to another news also related to security. This time is about the Islamic State. According to FBI Director, Islamic State has revolutionized terrorism. There is no evidence a married couple who killed 14 people in California this month were part of a terrorist cell, the head of the FBI said on Wednesday, confirming the investigators believe the pair were inspired but not directed by Islamic State. The Islamist militant group has revolutionized terrorism by seeking to inspire small-scale attacks, FBI Director James Corney said, noting the group uses of social media, encrypted communications, and slickly produced propaganda to recruit followers all around the world. For example, what we are seeing right now is it is beyond the model that we see in Al-Qaeda. That, in fact, the threats that the world is facing today is completely different, according to Corney, when he was being told on a conference related to counter-terrorism in New York. However, he also said that while the perpetrators of the December 2 shootings in San Bernardino, California, which is Said Rizwan Farouk and Tashfeen Malik, had expressed support for jihad and martyrdom in private communications as early as 2013. They never did so publicly on social media. He also said authorities believe Muhammad Abdul Aziz, the suspect in July's fatal shooting of 4 U.S. Marines and a Navy sailor in Chattanooga, Tennessee, was radicalized by militant propaganda. He added that, to my mind, there's no doubt that the Chattanooga killer was inspired and motivated by foreign terrorist organization propaganda. But according to him also, he did not specify any particular group. Corney said Federal Bureau of Investigation currently has hundreds of investigations in all 50 U.S. states involving potential Islamic State-inspired plots. We will take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss on the business and economic side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene. Welcome back. So on our business and economy side, we want to highlight economic agreement that has just been signed between Japan and Indonesia to strengthen security and economic ties. The defense and foreign minister of Japan and Indonesia discussed bilateral security policies, possible defense cooperation, and regional issues regarding measures to counter terrorism at a unique 2+2 meeting. The defense and foreign ministers of Japan and Indonesia have agreed to strengthen security and economic ties. This comes after the talks in Tokyo in a unique 2+2 format. The foreign minister discussed bilateral security policies, possible defense cooperation, and regional issues, including measures to counter terrorism. Japan's position is that it wants to work with Indonesia on issues related to South China Sea territorial dispute. On the other hand, Indonesia is looking at transfer of technologies from Japan, in particular an amphibious vehicle which it wants to use for disaster relief activities. Indonesia's Defense Minister Ramizat Rakudu said both sides have agreed to negotiate for a possible technology transfer. Japan's security law has been revised in the relation. Indonesia will be able to strengthen cooperation to transfer of defense equipment, counter-terrorism measure, and humanitarian aid. For Japan, Indonesia is an important market as well as trading partner. This is according to Japan's Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida. He said, Indonesia is the world's biggest Muslim nation. We have agreed to cooperate on bilateral tourism. Japan also wants to set up military drills with allies such as Indonesia. This came after its military looking at being active overseas with countries other than the US. And the agreement also comes as tension mounts over competing maritime claims in the South China Sea involving China and some of Indonesia's partners in ASEAN, including the Philippines and Vietnam. Indonesia's officials meanwhile hailed the accord with Japan and called it on all claimants in the South China Sea to work to lower regional temperature. In fact, Indonesia Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said, "We agree to enhance stability in the South China Sea." We move on to another news about ASEAN, the AEC. It offers promise and pitfalls for members. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations is due to launch the ASEAN Economic Community on December 31st. The decision by ASEAN members to forge the AEC was prompted by two developments: the ASEAN currency crisis of the 1997 and the rise of China and India. The project to create the AEC, an economic zone with a population of more than 600 million, dates back to the formation of the ASEAN Free Trade Area, or AFTA, in 1993, after it ceased to be an anti-communist group following the end of Cold War. ASEAN moved to cement its member ties through economic cooperation and tariff cuts to attract foreign investment. And what we are seeing right now, that the East-West Economic Corridor, a 1,500-kilometer highway that runs from Da Nang in central Vietnam through Laos and Thailand to Ma Lam Yin in southern Myanmar opened. It takes 2 weeks to ship goods from Bangkok to Yangon by sea, but new highway have shortened the trip to just 3 days. This is this is one of the example of how the AEC will transform Southeast Asia in terms of its ASEAN connectivity roadmap. The increase in merchandise trade has invigorated economies in the region and helped reduce disparities among ASEAN countries. In 1992, the per capita gross domestic products of ASEAN richest country was 112 times that of the poorest. The gap has been cut in half to 52 times by 2014. We will move on to the arts and culture after this short music break.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene. You're back again at this Duran ASEAN discussion on the news in Southeast Asia. Of course, we are now at the arts and culture. And when you talk about arts and culture, of course, you also want to include things like Miss Universe 2015. Apparently, Miss Myanmar recovered from preliminary competition stumble. We just want to highlight a bit of this glitch from the Miss Myanmar. May Tor stands back after struggling to walk down the stairs during the evening gown competition. Pageant of definitely a high-pressured event, and many contestants have been known to stumble and fall. In the 2015 Miss Universe preliminary competition, Miss Myanmar had a minor on-stage fall, but the candidate was able to recover quickly and gracefully. Meto struggled to walk down the steps in her thigh-high gown and high heels during the evening gown portions of the evening. And the audience gasped as May landed on her bottom, but she quickly stood back up. May clapped a bit and motioned for the audience to cheer as she gracefully smiled and continued to walk on the stage without further accident. As the host, Nick Taplitz, said, it was a great recovery. Moving on to another news, which is not so good and not a good recovery definitely, is the sacking of Mourinho by Chelsea. Jose Mourinho was sacked as manager of Premier League champions Chelsea on Thursday after a calamitous run of results left the West London club 1 point above the relegation zone. A club statement said Chelsea and the 52-year-old Portuguese had parted company by mutual consent 7 months after he led them to the title by an 8-point margin. It concludes a spectacular fall from grace for Mourinho, rated as one of the world's best coaches who declared himself the happy one when he returned for a second stint in charge of Chelsea in 2013 after spells at Inter Milan and Real Madrid. Chelsea's 2-1 defeat at surprise league leaders Leicester City on Monday, their 9th loss in 16 league games since the start of a season that has gone spectacularly wrong, proved to be the final straw for the Russian owner Roman Abramovich. The last news of today, of course, we will reserve it to Star Wars. As we all know, Star Wars just debuted yesterday and a lot of fans and critics were praising the movie, with fans and critics giving The Force Awakens the thumbs up. Cast and crew of the latest Star Wars film expressed huge relief as the movie rolls out of the cinema worldwide. The 7th episode of the popular sci-fi saga won over fans globally after months of secrecy surrounding the film, billed as the biggest movie release of the year. Few details of the J.J. Abrams directed picture have been released, except some broad character outlines in the run-up to the week's release. As reviews were published on Wednesday following an embargo, cast and crew relished the positive feedback at the movie's European premiere in London after first hearing of the critics while traveling from Los Angeles, where The Force Awakens premiered on Monday. In fact, as press producer Kathleen Kennedy, we were just getting ready to land and started looking at the reviews coming in, and it was pretty exciting. And she also added that there were nothing better than working really hard like we have on something that has such huge expectation, having it being well received. I was sitting behind J.J. Abrams and he kept turning around saying, listen to this, we were really excited. And of course at Duran ASEAN, we are definitely excited and looking forward to watch the latest Star Wars The Force Awakens. That's all from us today, and don't forget to always listen to Duran ASEAN every Monday to Friday, 8 to 11 o'clock live, where we bring you news commentaries from all over Southeast Asia. Thank you.